Yeah, yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, all this is. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I'm so sorry.
Sure. No. Oh.
All right. That's enough.
An audio check, just ready to be okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jennifer Salinas. I'm the Manhattan Deputy Borough Commissioner at the New York City Department of Transportation. I'm joined by a few colleagues this evening online. We have Renee Franke from our public realm team, so he's joining us digitally. And then there's a couple of folks here in person. We have Rafael Escano. Rafael Escano, who is our borough planner, who typically covers CBs 8 and 11, but is training tonight as well. Blackwood is out on vacation. And Kyle Gorman, who is our assistant director for public spaces and partnerships for our Office of Living Streets in our transportation planning and management division. Kyle will be running us through an update on the Audubon Avenue Open Street and our proposal to turn this into a permanent plaza. We were last here as a committee presenting in February earlier this year. And we wanted to kind of ensure that we could see how the open street ran over the spring and summer months before coming back, engaging with more folks on the street or plaza proposal. So we are looking forward to hearing.
Yes,
You have the grown, no.
All right, good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone tonight. My name is Kyle Gorman. I'm from the City Department of Transportation, Public Realm team, as Jennifer mentioned. And we're going to just breeze through this presentation and maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we'll go over the project and program fix this way that I've gone back to you. The plaza proposal and outreach that we've done to date, and what some of our proposed next steps. Slide.
Oh, sorry.
So I am from what's called the Public Realm team. We are the pedestrian and public space focused arm of the agency. So everything related to walking, which is the primary mode of transportation here in the city, we are responsible for. So everything from open streets and plazas to just thinking through pedestrian mobility and clear paths and making sure that that's infrastructure is a core part of all the work that our agency does. Next slide. Next slide again. So we've been working at the intersection of 165th and Audubon for a few years now. DOT first implemented a street improvement project that's pictured here in 2020, and that project did a lot of great work to make the intersection a lot safer for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers as well. It simplified what was otherwise a very complex intersection, making fairer crossings, more efficient crossings. That's a lot of safety benefits. In 2024, we then went ahead and moved forward with an open street full closure. We are able to do open streets on a 24-hour basis to test out sort of like pseudo plaza per se. We closed the block last summer, kind of planters at either end, and activated the block with different types of amenities like planters, movable tables and chairs, programming that I'm going to highlight. And all of this has been done in collaboration with the Horticultural Society of New York. They do the setting up, the breaking down of all of the furniture, the umbrellas, things like that, 2 times daily sweeping and cleaning, pressure washing on a monthly basis, all of the horticulture care and program. And one core part of the Open Streets program, which is now permanent here in New York City, is that we must, as an agency, evaluate successful sites and decide which sites should be considered for these different types of public space, traffic calming, other types of plans. So just to contextualize, I think everyone is very familiar with the block. We're right outside of the building that we're in right now. We are talking specifically just about Audubon between 165th and 166th Street tonight, but we do actually have a few other traffic calming elements that we're proposing on Audubon between 166 and 168 that I'll talk about later this evening. So these next 2 slides are mostly just the visual story of all the different types of programming and activations that we've been doing in the space. DOT really believes in the positive programming of our plazas to make sure that they promote different types of uses, positive community building activities, and so on. So we first started out last year with Earth Day, which is the signature initiative of DOT, working with Kids Fest. We did a lot of climate change and sustainability focused programming events in the space. Next slide. And as we just go through, you'll see lots of different things. We worked with SYEP and cloth interns to do the implementation report of the plazas. It was really great for them to learn about different types of plant care, horticultural elements. The Hort does their pollinator port project here, which is promoting pollinator in urban context. Pollinators like bees are really important for our wider ecosystem, even in very urban environments. So creating little hotels or homes for bees per se. Next slide. The Hort does a lot of other types of horticulture-based programming since that's really their core mission, and have been able to connect people and connect in the space for the last year or two. One of our first ground treatment installations was a tape art installation working with Kuki and AI. He does really amazing tape art installations. This was a great way to sort of activate the otherwise very dark asphalt with this tape art installation. Next slide. We brought the circus to the space, which is much loved by kids and older folks as well too. Street Lab, which you're going to be hearing a lot about tonight, has been regularly activating the space with all the different types of programming offerings. They have this one in particular pictured is called Oasis, which brings a sort of like pop-up water park to the space. These are all misters, and it's a really like sort of nice cooling feature on those very, very hot summer days. Street Lab does a lot of other types of programming. They've been here quite a lot over the last 2 years, doing all the different types of programming that they offer. We had a Hispanic Heritage Month celebration in the space last September with an organization called Salsa Stories. New York Presbyterian, your neighbors here, have been very active in the space, doing different types of programming throughout the season, promoting sort of active and healthy lifestyles. We worked with a few of our other performing artists that are on our partner list to do different types of performances in the space. The Manhattan DA's office held an event raising awareness related to domestic violence. It was a big event all throughout Washington Heights. We held a signature event as part of our Trigger Streets initiative, which is a big sort of Halloween programming series of events that we do. And we chose this block for one of our signature events where DUT produces the event, and hundreds of kids were able to come out on Halloween last year. And one of the last things that we were able to do towards the tail end of 2024 was do a stencil art mural installation, working with students from the Lutheran High School as well as cloth to paint the streets, which is a really fun and exciting opportunity. This was the sort of product that sort of had a lot of interesting programmatic themes weaved into the stencil art that was created. There were 3 trees planted by the Hort on the east curve, but when I walked outside just before I got here, I actually noticed that there are no 5 trees also on the west curve. So we total planted actually 8. So the Hort can take credit for the 3 that are in front of the businesses on the east curve. But big shout out to the Parks Department who did 5 new trees on the block as well on the west curve. One of the tree pits is one of the XL tree pits, extra large tree pits that they're doing now. So there's a lot of new permanent greenery that will benefit this block for years to come. So it just says 3, but it's actually last Valentine's Day, just this past February, we did an event with one of our programming partners promoting peace and love as part of Valentine's Day. And once again, on Earth Day, connecting people to more sustainable modes of transportation. We did free learn to ride classes and free bike rentals in Open Street this past April. Street Lab's been regularly in the space this past summer as well, doing all different types of pop-ups and promoting the use of the space in a positive way. Again, your Presbyterian here this summer for season. So that's all the programming that we've done. So I think I really want to iterate that DOT remains really invested in activating the space in a positive way, and a lot of different types of uses and connecting to both local institutions like the hospital system that's next door, as well as all the different programming offerings and the rich cultural diversity that represents the city. Moving right along, we've been doing a lot of outreach about what the future of this space is. I think it's definitely been a big question that's been discussed right here at the community board, as well as in other types of venues. So we've done a lot of different types of outreach to take the temperature of what folks parking. So last year we did a survey. And if you move to the next slide, you'll see a few different things of what people are looking for. Most people did want to see permanent public realm changes to the block that codifies what was done this very pop-up way. Everything from new greenery to more scenic programming and so on, as well as other sort of curb change elements like adding more loading zones and through traffic network elements and so on. About a little less than 3/4 of the folks who took the survey did indeed ask to see permanent changes to the open street. Saw a lot of value in the pilot that DOT was able to launch last year. Nevertheless, there are still some concerns and feedback and issues that were flagged throughout this process related to parking, traffic network impacts, and quality of life issues that sometimes along within the type of public space that it comes to be. So using all of this feedback and all of the programming and events and looking at the toolkit of possibilities that DOT is able to do, tonight what we're putting on the table is to formally codify the plaza fully with redoing the markings on the block to actually design it as a pedestrian plaza using DOT's pedestrian project toolkit. This would formally redesign the plaza on 165th on Audubon between 165 and 166 as a plaza using all of our in-house materials like pavement markings, which we'll talk about more in a second, planters, granite blocks, flexible delineators, and other types of amenities like furniture. The idea is that the existing markings really reflect the previous type of use that was prominent on the block when it was mostly just parking and a moving lane, a bus stop. This codifies the pilot that was launched last summer in 2024 by formally changing the markings and creating a formally designated pedestrian space through DOT's Plaza program and would just be a permanently closed block. The idea as a part of the ground treatment is to work with the Muralift to do one of the largest installations that DOT has done through its Plaza program, which we'll touch on in just once. This is the typical toolkit that we use to implement plazas. Many of these treatments, I think you're probably very familiar with, given your travels all around the city. The typical things, some of which already exist, like planters and granite blocks, will be used to delineate the edge and also add some amenities towards the center of the plaza. We'll have different types of activation elements, such as movable furniture and umbrellas on a continuous basis. This is already done. Other things like flexible delineators, which is the form of delineation of begins and ends. And then also as the ground treatment, the opportunity exists for public. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the scope of work for our proposal exists, making a few other traffic calming and pedestrian safety improvements on Audubon between 168 and 166. So in addition to the curb extensions that we saw on the previous slide with the Plaza proposal, we're also looking to add curb extensions on all four corners of Audubon at 167th Street and Audubon at 168th Street. Curb extensions are exactly as they are called. They are an extension of the curb to make it safe for pedestrians to cross the street. That increases visibility between pedestrians and drivers and cyclists as well too. And when you bump out the curb and add more of this pedestrian oriented space, it does add a little bit more opportunity for amenities, just more planters, bike parking, and so on. These types of installations, whereas they do require paint to be installed, would be done just with an in-house material known as epoxy gravel and would not be as a part of the public or our mural installation. This is just a photo of a curb extension. You can see a lot of these also right along St. Nicholas, based on the project we were able to do years ago. It's just this is paint. It's usually epoxy gravel or MMA, and these are thermoplastic markings. And as you can tell, it's just a big bulb out of the curb, which, like I mentioned, is a huge safety benefit for pedestrians, especially. We've been talking to the community actually a lot about this proposal for the last few months. We hosted a handful of workshops in June and September with Street Lab to collect feedback from the public about this installation. They had a programming series called Imagine, which UT's worked with them before in similar contexts where we were proposing plazas And it's a really great way to get more sort of organic, anecdotal feedback from other community related to the PASA proposal. Next slide. And here's a lot of the different things that we heard overall. The feedback was mostly positive from a wide swath of different types of users in the space. People felt really excited about the opportunity about having a permanent plaza in the neighborhood, and creating more space for different types of recreational opportunities, programming, and events. Have all these sort of different anecdotes people share in this sort of very Humans of New York-esque type way, where people were able to sort of humanize the that they were offering through this sort of photo series. This is just a reminder, we worked with the MTA last summer to reroute the M2 northbound direction of the bus, whereas we used to follow the purple direction shown here, and now goes up Amsterdam Avenue, turning at 165th to go north up to 168, but then it's for an existing filter at 168 in Audubon, the southbound direction is. Classes are governed by a set of rules and different types of guidelines that the city sets forth for both Plaza Park and public when they operate and use these spaces. You do need to get a permit anytime that you host an event in Plaza through the Street Activity Permit Office, often called SAPO. You can learn more about how to apply for permits. The community board plays, of course, control in SAPO permits as well. But everything you need to know about SAPO is found at CDAC.com/SAPO. Like I mentioned, the CD has a huge role as this NYPD in the role of SAPO permits and approving or denying them, or at least recommending approval and denials. So DOT works very closely with SAPO and its agency partners to consider types of permits when they are needed in the process. And all plazas will have a rule sign, just like shown. Just the last thing I wanted to mention is that DOT has an art program, and this site has been selected as one of the sites that we would work with the muralist to install a ground treatment installation as part of the plaza. Anyone can be a part of the artist registry that DOT has. So if you know anyone who works in the arts community, it's definitely in your best interest to get on the list, because you get opportunities which are paid by a DOT to activate public spaces, murals, and other types of art installations. We've selected, next slide, this site, like I mentioned, which is a little less than 11,000 square feet for the mural, which will be in the entire plaza space. So everything that's shown here in red will be activated as a mural as a part of the plaza installation. We've selected an artist known as Talisa Almonte, so it's cut off, but we have a really great working experience with her. A lot of different types of mural installations, those large and small. Across the city, a few of which have been done with DOT. The one on the right is right in the Union Square as part of the bus way that we were installed years ago. Her on doing color installations at the bike corral in Queens. She's a really great artist, great to work with, and looking forward to working with everyone on the installation of the mural. This is just a little bit more about her and her experience that we can fund. So next steps, which is the last slide, we are looking to move forward with implementation starting later this month. Because this is all in-house markings related work, it's not like a large construction project. There's no like jackhammers or crazy construction equipment that's involved. It's just really paint at the end of the day. We'll do the markings first, so we'll wash all the existing markings away with pressure industrial grade pressure washer. Then the new markings at the edge of the plaza will go in, and then that will be followed by an art mural. There'll be more details about the art mural and how different members of the community get involved with its installation. Following that, we'll install all of the amenities again, like the planters, the furniture, and we'll continue to work with everyone on presentation, outreach, and evaluation this year and into next year. And as has been the case since its inception, the space will be maintained by Port in collaboration with DOT. So that is our entire presentation. See you later. I appreciate your time.
So, from a buyout and for the presentation, I'm gonna start off giving some context. So we've been discussing this for over a year now. With this proposal, obviously, We weren't too happy about it. We didn't think enough outreach was done. They went back to the drawing board. Supposedly said that they had done the outreach, spoke to a couple of people, some people are happy, but we just been going back and forth. They had a maintenance partner. At the inception of the plaza, you could kids, kids did not know what they were getting into, they backed out of it, and now the board maintains a bunch of other plazas. But we also maintain this one. So, moving on that, what is it exactly that you teams, you're in the advisory, you guys can do it. What is that you need?
So we are looking for any feedback, on our proposal. I know that Kyle went through a number of different slides that outlined the outreach and engagement that we did over the last year and especially the last few months. But we are coming to you for that additional feedback. And should you choose to support or not support, that is also something that we'd be interested in hearing tonight.
So I'm gonna allow each committee member and that I have an interest audience would like to talk. It goes back to the maintenance. You're gonna do this, you're gonna implement it. We would like to bring up partners to host events from within the community. I think that whenever you give this opportunity to an organization in the community, they take ownership because they are part of the fabric of this. When you choose purchase of partners or vendors from the outside, they're not here every day. They don't know what's going on in our backyard. They don't know their points of certain programs for certain aspects of our community. So that's really my main concern. The whole again reached out to them multiple times. I understand that they're a company that's works with you guys. You guys haven't contracted, but we would like to build the type of relationship if we're gonna have this in our backyard. It's really in the backyard. That's one thing. You guys have done outreach. How many surveys have you received? And have you done merchant? I know there's a couple merchants on this block, they're okay with it, but I've spoken to hospital, other people, and not too many people are happy with it. We need parking for doctors and nurses. Parking shouldn't be the biggest issue. We'll table that, we'll put that aside, but it also causes issues. School was not too excited about it. So yeah, how many surveys you received? We saw the statistics, but I want to know the response to it. Also, if this does go into effect, which I feel like it will, there has to be better coordination with NYPD detectives. We have a faction of our community that complain about noise, and the reality is that if you pass by 10, 11, 12, you will see people blasting music. And again, that's not an issue, but you have people directly across the field about this, and we should consider. The third piece in, they have responded to certain issues, but they kind of sweep it on the road. I'm not sure if you guys saw when I parked, legally parked. I'm walking towards the community board, and I had 3 cars parked right in front of the company. That's something that they should be addressing. That's another issue I have. I'm glad we promote safety as a community, as a community, as a community. How many parking spots are you removing with the curb extensions? And was there any consideration in other parts of our district for those curb extensions? Because autobahns are pretty small. It's not too big. I've looked at the safety numbers. It's not a lot of accidents happening in this corner. There's not a lot of corridors. So is there any consideration, again, we want to promote safety improvements, so that we can consider other parts of our district? I can give you about 6 locations that need curb extensions that have, and again, I won't do any blame Malaya, but I've been kind of doing. So those are my questions for now. I'm glad you chose the Dominican artist. Seems from what you're I think any artist that live here, they have a stake here, so I'm glad you kept it percent the community. That's my questions. I'll see it too. Oh, yeah. Sorry,
So starting with outreach to the businesses. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, there's a certain group of businesses that have been very in favor of the plaza. Actually played like a role in just being present in the space, donating their time and their sort of expertise as a business to helping maintain the space as well and contributing to events. There are other businesses that have had their concerns that, we feel like have been addressed. Maybe they don't feel 100% over the moon about it, but I feel like they've come a long way, and there's other businesses still have to change. One thing that we do in this project and in all projects is really take close look at predictability of how we can make better and more informed decisions of the current voting zone and states deliveries, and drop-offs. So people get packages by Amazon, businesses need to get their deliveries, people get picked up and dropped off at taxis on. So we're definitely looking in and around. Virtual. Community outreach, we had a little over 250 survey responses that we did last year. Street Lab was able to speak with hundreds of individuals, given that they were out here for 6 days across the summer, including just a date last week. So we were able to sort of collect feedback that way. We felt that they had the opportunity to be at the community board here a few times, just a few other touch points, conversations as well. The board, yeah, totally heard. I think like the thing that I would characterize the board as is consider them an extension of DOT. As like a contractor, they are really working on behalf of the city's transportation. Right, honestly, they have a very unique contract with the city. They're not like a construction related services. They're driving school buses or something. They're active in a very visible way in public spaces. People obviously have thoughts about how those public spaces should be used and maintained and so on. So we're happy to bring the board more into the mix, but just to sort of make it abundantly clear, like they're very deferential to us because they're a contractor, we pay the bills, and they don't want to get sued. So that's I think a little bit of why you've been a little radio silent. We do though welcome a local partner. We really see the port as teed up to create the venue for people to take local ownership of those spaces. We don't want people to waste their time with sweeping and cleaning and setting up chairs and breaking them down. Like we want people to invest in culturally appropriate programming, community-focused events, things like that. So we're still open to that type of organization to step into the mix. I know you had other questions. I want to make sure I address all of them.
Yeah, the parking.
The curb extensions, I know Renee from our team is on the call. I don't know if you have Renee at the red end.
So can you guys put back the rendering with the curb extensions and
Yes.
were you looking to do the
Renee, if you're able to unmute yourself and just, approximately how many parking spots are we taking with these 2 blocks of?
Can everyone hear me? Hello? Hello?
oh, right here? There.
Can everyone hear me?
Renee, try again.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Renee, try again.
Hello? Hello?
Is he saying something?
Yeah. Can you-
I'm speaking.
You can't have 2 microphones.
No? Okay.
Should I write my responses in the chat?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. You can hear me now? It's approximately 3 full parking spots. It's the longer curb extensions take up full spots. The ones that stop at the stop bar are about 10 feet. So that's not really a full spot. It's more so like a shifting back. I'm not sure if okay. Excuse me, you guys are muted. I can't hear anybody from the presentation.
So, yes.
Do they know?
Do they
Do they
know?
have awareness that they're doing parking spots?
Usually when AV, I mean, we're not taking away full marks. That's,
Passively school?
that's maybe 3/4 of a mark.
I'm just looking at the equivalence of the debt. I live almost succeeding, so. I know this block right here, like across the street.
We can definitely, make sure that the school knows and double check that it is indeed AVO parking and not kind of standard parking. The AVO parking.
Yeah.
They follow where we're having.
Okay. All right, let me start this way. Can I start Jim? Yes, Jim, then Mary, and then Ty, and then Paola had a hand raised. I believe we had a councilman that's on hand raised briefly, and Chip still up, and we have some. So go ahead, Jim.
Okay, I want to, second what Joe said about Audubon Avenue. Very narrow. Reason and other reasons, remarkably traffic. Not a reason. When you call it a minor. Again, I think his point was putting all these measures of Audubon made a better place. The second thing where I also want to second what Leo said is must be enforcement at night, not your department, but then again, you can lean on your assistant department. We cannot have our residents being kept up at night by people who violate the law. My view, well, you might be free. People have a right to sleep at night, especially in a neighborhood like this one. There are people who actually have to go to work on Sunday, Saturday. Cannot have noise. So at least a commentary, and if they can pass a resolution.
There were some conditions.
And we will, very strenuously. Step. And the final thing is totally aesthetic. Notice with the pictures, and you show you the work of the artist, he avoids the color green. Now, that actually is historically very important. Alexander Pollard, the famous artist, he did exactly the same thing. Or red, yellow, and blue. I and Alexander did not agree. I would put, again, she has some brand, this may be her style for rationale. I actually like green as well. So.
Green's very.
Yeah. But, and then finally, here to this empty street that just actually lately, it's vast improvement. That the mural in particular makes space. Right, compliments every artist.
I have a little bit different,
America,
proposing,
yeah.
mural. Going to cover the entire street. People who are disabled. Or for any reason, either, have mobility issues or have sight issues, blind, or even if their vision is somewhat impaired. All those colors in any kind of a mural is obscuring whatever defects in the street there might be. And I know that with my role labor, I rely heavily on sight to be able to see and feel with my feet any defects in the street. Because I bumped my toe on issue in the street, I can fall very easily. Those kinds of colors covering the whole street will obscure that and make it very difficult, in fact, dangerous.
Dive and Paula, and one comment with Tanya.
I was gonna ask specifically about the businesses and, I wanted to hear directly, maybe you have a list of the negative feedback that was shared, but I think it's important for all of us to understand the comments and issues that were raised by the businesses and the community as a whole as well. But there'd be a lot to, so, but if you could provide us a list, just of anything that any of that feedback verbatim of what people have stated and.
Yeah, I mean, as is the case with virtually any project that we does, it's always related to parking. Being able to receive both, packages of things that they're gonna sell, or, there are some health-related facilities on this block too, making sure patients can get without issues, so it's always access. That's really what we hear about a lot, and that's why we were putting back to our free mobility lens that we see through everything, when it comes to these types of projects and loading zones. Working with all different types of operators too, on alternative modes of transportation to get deliveries to the businesses too, which for smaller businesses isn't always easy to recognize, but we've made a lot of legislative plans.
Okay, and can you provide us a more concrete sense of what? It makes sense, looking at those patterns, but it's hard for us to visualize what changing to ensure that.
So DOT has a loading zone program, so we essentially on the code. Quite a number of these are being processing too, so we just.
And last question was, why did you decide to add the current extensions function with the plaza projects as opposed to project?
Yeah, so to be clear too, just because we're doing great decisions here, does not mean we can do or else too, like
Yeah,
this is not the end all. Typically with DOT, types of projects of whatever scale. Per section possible. As we've all noted, Audubon is a pretty calm corridor that doesn't see a lot of traffic. So putting these curb extensions in isn't really good. And essentially just gonna make it safer, even more safer. But there's really complicated traffic volumes and geometric conditions both in St. Nicholas, Broadway, and Amsterdam, so that requires just a little bit of thoughts, community input, and design related thinking. So this is a pretty standard operating procedure.
It's like a little add-on project.
Out of everything, if we have a partner who's willing to host events and do something under the limits. How far will that go?
We'll go all the way to the top. I mean, we welcome anyone that can take on maintenance and operations in the space to whatever degree. Sometimes the Hort does everything. Sometimes the Hort does just the planters. This is a breakdown. Have so many variations. So you should not think that if someone's that we.
And just to clarify too, we'd have conversations with the potential partners to kind of outline the requirements and get a sense of their capacity, because as you had noted, there are previous partners that, didn't check out. So we can, have those conversations.
Is there any way that we can go to a rendering where you have the current design that's downstairs and the proposed mural? No, the mural. Because I want to point out something that I saw in the rendering there that I had already previously on Friday mentioned to you guys.
Where is it? Further up,
Actually,
sorry.
it's,
Yeah, the one in color.
The red, the one that had the red highlight on it.
That's
Well,
further.
I think that'll work. This works.
This works okay.
So I just wanna bring it back to the outreach for the businesses. These are the only businesses here. These two businesses are one owner. This is David. He is not happy. That's the pharmacy guy that serves half of the hospital. And this is a dentist like a dental office.
They're not happy with this one.
And they're not happy either, because they have disabled patients that, paratransit can no longer drop off in front of the office. So this is part of your closure, and this is my main concern, because everything here is post office property and parking for their staff. So this is part of your plan, and I wish that you could leave this as a loading zone for these people that you have heavily impacted, and that's not there. This is part of your coloring for the mural.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great idea. And
Okay, but it should be part of this rendering with the thing on here already, because we've expressed that since the main meeting that started with the commissioner coming here and bringing these folks from here. Right? Okay. So this is my whole thing, because you've eliminated already all this parking, and this is gonna stay permanent, right? And we have a high school coming off here with buses, plus the post office. The post office, uses this part also
Yes.
for their trucks, but now this is part of this, correct? So,
so the idea is to add a few more edge objects.
But- I just don't see why you're taking more space instead of like just keeping it between here and there.
I think someone brought up something related to visual impairments, so, imagine if you're somebody who's in. If you're immediately met by a huge postal vehicle, that's gonna be a huge impediment.
This is already a crosswalk and a correct sidewalk here right in front of the park.
But back to some of the comments that also people were talking about the pavement and making sure that there's a level pavement and not having it down and potholes like that. This was done years ago. This already exists. Like this was done as a part of the 2020.
Yeah, but they use it, like there's actual trucks parked there day in and day out.
So that's what I'm saying is that we recognize that that is a behavior that is not permitted because this is a human pedestrian space. So the idea is to delineate it with more planters, granite blocks, to keep those trucks out.
For what?
Where are they gonna go though?
The post office truck?
Yeah,
Well, post office trucks can park wherever they want, as we
they're
have.
just gonna cause more traffic and be more out of the way, because they have their little space here.
Right, so
They
they have
have
quite a
their-
lot of the curb spaces. And we can definitely look at adding more curb space if needed, but the post office takes up quite a lot of the curb space. Dealing with the post office is, operationally challenging across the community, this a lot of times.
I mean, maybe they could have proposed something or been invited, have some input in.
We've been
this.
working with post office and some of the other stakeholders.
That's been there for quite a bit. But why you guys don't put something in there with the truck, on the post office on park?
So we did.
And another thing on fire, look, cut you off. What Paula says is true. You should leave that space belonging to the business. That way they can get some chance.
How are they gonna unload their groceries and everything?
We just agreed
No, no,
that we
but-
think that makes a great.
Yeah, that's part of the comment.
That's part of the comment. Yeah, that's part of the comment. Also, if you can put something in there with the post office truck don't park there, that would be awesome. Because I've been seeing the truck being every single thing there. And I know that it's true, you're saying, post office can park anywhere they want. But if they see something in there, they can walk inside, they're not gonna be able to park.
No, that's definitely very.
And my other concern, very, very concerned about this. The cleaning part. Cleaning part, because the Kikeya Plaza, the first 2 months or 3 months, it was amazing, clean, amazing. Now, if you go to Kikeya Plaza, it's disaster. So we don't want, honestly, we don't want this plaza to be turned like Kikeya Plaza. You understand, like, especially I don't want to support it that it is, the way it is.
I hear you. We want to promote this as a public community space that's maintained by
different and reflective of the. We're all.
Let's go.
So. I have, several comments. One is that, are you going to use these to count towards 1138 obligations? Has community board signed off on intro 1138 and universal daylighting of all big crosswalks? So maybe we shouldn't have to discuss that all apart. Another comment is that your number one criticism was there wasn't enough green space, which tells me that this plaza was super hot in summer. And the trees on the side, I don't think are enough to avoid the heat in the middle. And I think you could also do more passive cooling opportunities, like get water service in the middle somehow. And I think that would be very important. I think that people do bike through here, and that sometimes when there's kind of an amalgamation and just paint in the middle, that it's not clear like how cyclists might pass through, if they're allowed to pass through, if they should pass through. I don't like the treatment of the little plastic sticks. Those don't do a good job keeping out the trucks. The trucks can run them over. They don't protect you from high-speed vehicles. I think that we should, as city, decommission the plastic sticks in general. They're pretty useless. Armadillos, I think, would be trip hazards for a lot of folks. So you need to come up with some other way to keep cars out of there for sure. The bike parking, I'd like to hear more about that. I'd like to hear about protected bike parking. There's a lot of people who work around here, who commute here with all kinds of modes of transportation. And I think that a lot of people would be interested in having like electric service, like bike parking, like mini pods, like things that they get in the wealthier parts of town. This is like a major employment center for town. And this is an opportunity to have other kinds of unique resources. I do worry about not having local community orgs, and I know that New York City DOT has a history of not paying its its NGOs and whatnot on time, and that means that a lot of small community orgs just cannot operate here. So I'd like to hear more on your statistics of making payments to small community groups on time. The Hort, what kind of fancy relationship do they have that they always get paid on time? Like the previous group. Did you pay them on time? I don't quite understand why community groups have to maintain the cleanliness of the roads when it is still DOT responsibility. I still pay my big taxes, and I still think that you should be on the hook as a city for keeping that space clean. I do not think that that should be left up to local community groups to keep clean, because just like, the street sweeping cars, you don't tell the car drivers to get out and start picking up the trash on the street. You shouldn't expect the same thing. So you should need to get out there. I think there's some hard economic analyses that DOT has done on the benefits to local businesses for having these streets. And you didn't have those in your presentation. And it's been now that it's been over a year, I think it's been a long enough time where you could have made that analysis, but you didn't bring it with you tonight. And I think that would allay a lot of the concerns for the local businesses. And yeah, I would definitely like to hear more about the green spaces and trees. It was really hot here, and you definitely need to do more things to attenuate the urban heat island in this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll try to address a few of the things. Totally heard on the cooling features. That's why we were able to plant the 8 trees. I know the trees take a long time to grow, but that is the long-term solution that we're laying the foundation for now. We have umbrellas in the space. We want to add more umbrellas. We also invited Street Lab out to the event, or to the plaza, to do their Oasis cooling sort of pop-up stations, where it has been shown or on research that it lowers the temperature by 10 to 15 degrees. So it's a pretty significant feature, which is great on those really hot days. Back to your sort of 2 points about community partners. We welcome a community partner. We would be happy there to be any community partner that would want to work intentionally and on a daily basis in this plaza. That is totally baked into the ethos of how it's managed. At the same time, you are saying that we're not paying or we're not investing the maintenance and operations in the space, but that's exactly what the Hort does. So the Hort's contract with us is to really maintain these plazas in communities or in certain plazas where there is no plaza partner, because we agree, we want our public space to be maintained just as well as our bridges are, as our streets and all the other infrastructure that our agency manages. So that's why we have this $27 million contract with the port to provide those services. And it can be right sized to whatever the level of need is. It can be the full suite of services on a daily basis, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Or it can be as small as just some planters and programs. So like, whereas we welcome the local partner, I don't want the characterization to be that we haven't invested in this operation space when we have a lot of speakers. Related to people getting paid, you know, definitely I hear you. Navigating the city bureaucracy as a civil servant is difficult. I can only imagine as a nonprofit, but we've done a lot of head work at our agency as well as in our programs to make sure all of our partners get paid in a timely fashion. We actually have some new procurement ideas that are kind of foundationally set. So for next year, we'll be in a really great place to get people paid and quicker and easier ways. So a lot of the things that you addressed were
And bike parking.
the bike
and
parking.
daylight.
Yeah, Jennifer will know more about the secure bike parking, but this definitely does count towards any daylighting that our agency.
And there could be opportunities really quickly for us to explore bike parking. So we do coordinate with our bike parking unit to see if, you know, we can look to install corrals or city racks in these locations. That's also a side, you know, effort of the agency that we do outside of street improvement projects. So we do look to the board and regular constituents and anyone to suggest locations for us to explore.
Remember, comment on all of them?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you to Community Board 12 for convening us and to DOT for coming with this presentation. I have a few comments. Obviously, this conversation has been going on for a few months, you know, now. I would like to say that our district has 6 plazas at this time. And above, the majority of them are either newer plazas or plazas that are under construction or plazas that need construction. And there are a lot of projects that are happening at the same time. Each of these plazas has a unique origin and a unique relationship to our community. Obviously, as a council member, I've taken the position that I support open spaces and I welcome investment into open public spaces for our community. But I do have to say that it is my responsibility as a council member for this district to speak about the type of investment that is needed in our existing plazas. And so I wanted to bring to your attention, and I know we've had this conversation in private, but I wanted to bring to your attention with the community board, obviously concerns that I have over how dilapidated the plaza on 175th Street and Broadway is, Plaza Las Americas. My office is right across the street from that plaza. And it is often that I hear complaints from neighbors about rodents, about the existence of garbage in that plaza, the public bathroom that is supposed to exist there not being available for public use. And so it is important for me, and I know that there's a new operator that has just been assigned to that plaza, but it is important for me that we have a plan for the existing plazas. Same thing with the plaza on 186th Street that is associated with Yeshiva University. We have a major capital project that is going to be undertaken in that plaza. The 207th Street Plaza, which is a plaza that was created for the street vendors that were basically asked to move into a more organized vending style that is still not a permanent plaza, and that conversation is ongoing. And obviously, you know, we have the issues that have persisted at Quisqueya Plaza. As a council member, I've been very diligent about being a process person, being someone who thinks that community input is critical and that we can't compromise on ensuring that the projects that come into our community are coming at the will of community residents, that they are the desire of community residents, that we spend their public tax dollars on these plazas because they've asked for them. I understand that there is engagement that has happened. I believe more engagement is needed here. With investments also come responsibilities. These 6 plazas need real community partners that will help us work through conflicts that happen when everyone goes home. I get the emails in the middle of the night about the conflicts at the different plazas. That will help us clean up after events are done. And I understand that the Horticultural Society is there, but at the same time, I've also heard of instances where the Hort is not always available to do that work. And it is community partners that have to take on the responsibility to make sure that these plazas are cleaned, that sanitation is coordinated on garbage pickup, and that if events are happening, they're happening in a way that is respectful to the residential communities that exist near these plazas. And in this project, although the Hort is, as you well stated, organization that has a large contract with the city of New York, it is imperative for me that there is a true community partner that comes in here. I think we need to reopen the conversations with partners like Catholic Charities that are right in the building that you are now sitting in tonight. People that know this area intimately and that have a stake in what happens in this area. We've heard from Paola, from Leo about the parking situation and the business situation on this strip. I think it is a unique situation given, the paratransit needs, the pharmacy and what they've come forward to us as well. And so it is going to be critical for this project, if it goes forward, that those conflicts are resolved. And I think that Paola brought a very good, alternative. And I think that DOT responded affirmatively to that. And I look forward to that being the case. I would support a version of this project that allows for the open street to continue. I'd be amenable to this project if we're able to resolve the underlying concerns that have been identified by community members here. And finally, I'll just say that I consider myself a partner in the work that happens in the city. And as I mentioned earlier, process is going to be the most important thing for me. It is important that the voices of our communities are not just taken at, okay, we checked the box, we came to a meeting, we got the feedback, but that feedback is directly implemented in the plans that are presented to our community. And so I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation. I've shared many thoughts with you all as well before this meeting, and I'm just hoping for the best outcome that we can get. But what I cannot tolerate is a project that is dropped into our community with no operational plan to deal with the conflicts that we have seen arise in our community in other open spaces. And so I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you, as well as my office is due for an update on the capital projects that are outstanding, like the Yeshiva University project, like the project on 207th Street. And I will also add the capital plan for Quisqueya Plaza, which I have not been briefed on in ever. So I need some updates from you all, and I'm looking forward to having more thorough conversation on that. And I want to thank the committee for taking this due diligence and all due diligence on these projects seriously. It is the community members that have to deal with the fallout after projects are brought into our community. And while we recognize the investments are important, we also have to have a plan to deal with what is left once projects come in. And so those are my comments, and I hope to continue this conversation with you all.
Councilmember, I want to thank you for the ongoing discourse and feedback that you've shared with the DOT team, not only for the open streets and plaza proposal here, but for the other projects that you mentioned. So just quickly for the capital updates, we do have a new, as you know, Borough Commissioner Danielle Zuckerman. So we'll look to schedule our next touch point with you and your staff so we can share those quickly with due diligence. And I know that there were a lot of comments about just, reiterating the concerns from the committee about maintenance, having a local partner be truly involved in the care of the space, as well as looking towards, improving the conditions at the existing plazas across the way. So I don't know, Kyle, if you want to continue to just, add our coordination that we have with the other partners at those locations. I know that Councilmember and CV12 colleagues, we do have a lot of ongoing conversations about those locations as well, but I'll see if Kyle can add more.
Yeah, I think we are definitely aware of the opportunities and challenges that come along with a few of the other plazas in the district. As you noted, Quisqueya is entering into the capital project phase, which is first and foremost, a great reset moment, and also an opportunity to really build that space out permanently. CLOP is now the new partner at Plaza de las Americas, so we're really excited to have voted in many ways tonight, having that sort of local community reflection in that space, not just as a maintenance partner, but in all things that really represent the public realm. And we'll continue to work with Yeshiva on any future capital projects here and continue to improve that space. I was just talking to their operations team today about a challenge they're having with the bins in the plaza and with sanitation. So we're working closely with them. Columbia at Haven too. So a lot of opportunity exists in these spaces. As has been noted, this district has a lot of plazas across it. It also has a number of open streets as well too. So we're really excited that people really embrace all of the public space offerings that our agency has to offer, and I look forward to working together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to all our Tanya and Eugene, Tanya, all right, we'll move to Fred. Jim will close it off. And we'll discuss our action. 2 minutes. Go ahead, Tanya. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead, Tanya.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Okay, yes, thank you. Here I am again talking about this issue. I'm not sure what kind of outreach was done, but I live down the street and nobody has come to our building to ask us anything about this plaza. Full disclosure, this plaza has had Audubon has had several unpermitted concert events, that one of which, just like a few weeks ago, had to be shut down by the NYPD because they did not get a sound permit on purpose. So I live here. I know we're concerned about the businesses, and that's fine, but I live here. When the businesses are closed, I have to live here. I have to sleep here. I have to work here. And no one has asked me anything. Okay. I'm also extremely disappointed. I'm befuddled to see that 20 feet away is McKenna Square, is a park. Why do we need a plaza when there is literally seating space, leisure space 20 feet away? I'm just not understanding why this community is this DOT is putting so many plazas in our community. And then I hear the money being thrown around, 27 million to this one and that one. It begins to come a little crystal clear to me. I'm not sure why those questions are not being asked by this board to explain follow the money. At the end of the day, these rules that you have posted, particularly the ones on noise, are just ignored. I don't even know why they're even posted, because they are not being followed. And this board missed a great opportunity to approve a resolution that would have brought accountability between the community and the community partners of that plaza, including making sure that they are not engaging in excessive noise and blocking roadways and things like that. And they did not pass that resolution. So for us to continue to add these plazas that are benefiting no one but the people that are getting a paycheck, I need some answers, and I want to find out why people have not reached out to our community. People keep saying there's outreach has been done and has not. And I don't understand why we keep adding these plazas, and I don't understand why no one is following the money to find out why this is happening. 6 plazas in a residential community.
Eugene will, want to respond to this. Okay. Eugene, you have 2 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you, DOT for the presentation. I think it's a really great plaza that, I live in the neighborhood and I've walked through there, and it's great to have more plazas in the neighborhood. I know downtown Manhattan has way more per capita, and I think it's great to have some investment being spent uptown, where, this people are just as much New York residents. And I think that where the curb extensions are being done, people say that this is maybe a quiet street right now, but in terms of like foot traffic. But I think if it's going to be a permanent public plaza, maybe there's going to be more foot traffic, and which is great, and maybe a little bit less car traffic, hopefully. But I think the like bulb outs could be extended to be like full daylighting, maybe, so that people crossing the street to this plaza don't get hit by cars going on those cross streets. I'm definitely in support of that. I think that what was brought up about maybe people having to park a little bit farther down the block. I mean, that's the idea of daylighting anyway. The idea of universal daylighting would be pushing those spaces back, and I think that's something we should embrace, and not, where we're putting in painted curb extensions. I think we should be reinforcing that for people's safety. I walk around the neighborhood all the time with my baby in a stroller, and every time I cross the street, it's scary, if there's a car parked right there. Yeah. So thank you for the work you're doing, and I'm in support of that.
Do you for your comments? That's one response. We're gonna allow Fred, he has his hand raised for a while. Fred, how are you? Then Jim will close off. Go ahead, Freddie, afterwards.
My name is Fred Sofa, and thank you, DOT, coming, and I'm not gonna step into the landmine of the plaza. But I'm gonna reiterate a few points that Allegra made about curb extensions and daylight. And of course, I'm grateful for any curb extension. My frustrations, which Allegra mentioned, are that in this neighborhood, if it's not hardened, it doesn't. So I understand the plastic barriers, and I think I know why they're used, because if you have a bike and you hit a piece of metal, you're going down. But that means we need planters, and we need a lot. There's new daylighting put on my block by Cabrini and 186, and was constantly parked in the first month and a half. Now it's semi-parked in, but it's usually parked in during the day, and it needs planters. And so that's the minor frustration. The major frustration is that now it's like in my second year, seeing all these same projects where piecemeal was mentioned. Now we're in a piecemeal thing again. Like, can we please, and I know it's beyond anybody, can we please have a plan for this community board in Northern Manhattan that's comprehensive, that takes into a parking plan that involves resident-only parking, and where the parking battle versus the daylighting battle lands. Can we have a plan for universal daylighting in this community board, even if it's just a pilot program? Can we have like bikeways instead of seeing this block and that block? We just have a plan. We need a plan, so we're all like going back to something. We have something we can refer to. Otherwise, every project on its own, and we're just going to be. I saw Hamilton. We're going to be outmanned, outgunned, we don't have any reference point. We're going to be doing things that just don't add up. We want them to add up, and we want people to be safe. And universal daylighting is, we know it's safe, and it's insane that every community in New York State does it, and New York City decided to exempt themselves from it. And we all know that eventually that exemption is going to go away. It's away 2 years from now, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. We know it's going away because the tides turn. DOT, we're the people that follow that. So what we really want is.
I just want to give you a heads up. Jennifer, Kyle, Raphael, and they're part of the public realm team. So they'll take these feedback and provide it to their colleagues. They don't deal with these issues specifically. But
Yes. And we can certainly, so I'm the deputy borough commissioner, and then we can certainly bring that back to leadership and then the other units that work through, ensuring that we're meeting.
They're actually all being the I am just.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so-
Kyle and Renee, we're, and then Raphael and I,
Thanks, Jim, and then we're gonna discuss what how we want to move. Go ahead.
I'm gonna make 3 points. One of them, my understanding, that occasionally, and maybe the case with this plaza, that we have streets that are superfluous and actually make traffic more confusing. And when that happens, we turn it into a plaza so that traffic goes away. That's part of my understanding of the rationale of this plaza, and you guys can talk about that. But I think two of the major points that were made and need to be considered very strongly is the issue of noise and enforcement. And again, you know, we understand DOT does not enforce such things, but cannot have plazas that are crazy spaces. Our goal is. The other thing which, Allegra brought up, responsibility for sanitation. They have to be the default clean so far as or can't clean as much, or the department can't clean as much. Ultimate responsibility is still a public out of the department of sanitation. They will have to be the plaza also. As I said before. So, and then, you know, on one hand, you know, I like the prettiness, but I totally understand my colleague. Mary, we don't want a beautiful thing that makes it dangerous. And it is even possible, one would think, that the design of the design, could actually have sort of walkways that people know, people see. Where they're supposed to walk with all of these strong color, they're able to see falls. That could be incorporated as part of design, in which case we can have our cake. But I think this color, this aesthetic aspect is critically important to making plaza life. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Jim. Kyle, thank you. And for Rafael, thank you guys.
Thank you.
So let's discuss. So they've not, but if we are going to support, I'm looking at committee, but want to make sure that whenever they turn this permanent, that they adhere to certain conditions that we would like to see, such as the ability with limited bright colors that could cause an accident or mentioned different things. I would like to see DOT identify a partner, vet it well, maybe introduce us to the community. We can get them well. Prior to that, we don't want to see the president permanent. There's nobody into it. The war again takes care of most of a good amount of problems in the city. This would just be another one on the list. We want to make sure here. And when there is events, programming, there's so much of responsibility. My suggestion would be maybe providing DOT with some conditions, not necessarily in a resolution, but allow them to go back to the drawing board, implement it into their plan, have them relay it to us, and then we can have something that we're looking down. Obviously, it's been a conversation for a year. We have a list of things that we would like to see DOT implement prior to it. Again, most importantly, highlighted identifying the maintenance part. I know the Hort, again, they're the ones that do the overall maintenance, but we will want to see someone really be within confines and actually address these issues in a timely manner. Waiting until the Hort or DOT response, even though they say they service everything, has to be determined. Any suggestions?
I just want to make a technical comment. Those of you who don't know, I'm the board parliamentarian. I may actually know about that. The only way this board can speak is at with resolutions. And what we can actually do is sort of this, what Leo was saying is we have these preliminary requests and command advisory. They can be part of a resolution that the board would stand behind us with, and then based upon DOT's where they react to our requests, we can then either, in the next resolution, approve it or disapprove it, but I sort of have the same sense from our Sun councilperson Carmen, that she's in favor of plazas that work and plazas that don't work. I don't. We don't know, that's not. Okay. But that's, I think. So, I think, that we should sort of produce this preliminary resolution of sort of support, tentative support with all these requirements, like, as I mentioned, sanitation, you know, do the backup of that in closet. Third, that as Tanya so strongly put it, and so did I, that, you know, this is a DO project, the new project, the department has to be involved, we will not, you know, and in the front of our community to have, you know, improper illegal activities go up like that. So I think most people, and think, you know, their attitude is, you know, we can't control this thing, we don't want. You know, it's gonna keep us up at night, knows what kind of activities can go on there, so I think, you know, and that's my suggestion. Okay. Preliminary thing. Requesting and call it tentative support. Ultimately, ideally, will come back to us, you know, with what we are asking for, or close to what we're asking for. And we have a reputation actually to be quite reasonable. And our board will probably have, especially if it's spoken for.
Okay, so are we all in favor of passing for that? Essentially, we support this with the following conditions. So prior to actually implementing the permanent plaza, identifying a partner. I think that's probably
Very important.
one of the more important things. Consider the dropout zone on West 165th Street for the other businesses.
Parking space.
Yeah, a dropout.
Yeah.
Depends on better partnership with NYPD, specifically 33rd precinct. Jurisdiction is this area. Also partnering with sanitation to provide garbage bins, compost, and recycling bins on the plaza, but also in case whatever maintenance partner or the horde is not able to maintain it, they can come and do something to ensure that it's clean. Anything else?
So I think if inherent deal is really, you know, if in fact, you know, we can't find the data, you know, list a local partner that take care of plaza, and the horde is the horticultural society, right? You know, and they're sort of the backup also. So, you know, they have this significant contract and they conscientiously so far as they can be exposed. So, you know, we're not anti, you know, horticultural society, but so far as we have a partner who's more invested in the
Holders.
I think all of them are flexible with their manners. We have honors and furniture that are more.
Curb extensions, but also lots of spaces.
Great. And then Fred, you got any suggestions?
Just two quick points on what Jim said about sanitation as the last resort. Pollards and granite blocking, some removal to get a street cleaning truck in at the last resort, and what Mary said. Can they do a quickie repaving? It's 11,000 square feet, just not do the grind and lay, but just do like a surface coat, so it is smooth when that mural goes down, there's no cracking down, streets never coming back, make it good.
That's just to actually pave the street so that it could be.
Pave it, not.
I think
Suggestion.
That's what I thought. Then
No,
the rain comes out.
seriously, like,
specific standard specifications, they gotta follow.
Didn't quite, put in Mary's thing, that how we want both the art, but the art done in a manner so that it can also be by.
Yes, maybe.
Right, so do we all support this tentative resolution? That's
The parking thing, like seriously for the hospital, like having like some more serious, not the stupid like little like aluminum circles, like people are buying like $5,000 electric bikes. They don't want a stupid aluminum circle. They want something that is a little bit safer, like the UV pods, although it doesn't have to be that brand name. And if you put one of those pods there, not only will it keep the big postal truck from parking there, but it also would stop a wayward car from flying into the pedestrian zone. It's like a win-win.
and also consideration of a bike.
Like, not just that, but also there's tons of deliveries around here. No, but like, it just like think about having something with like electric and water service that's like in the road. Just think about it.
But we'll ask. I've never heard.
They can only say no. They will say no.
Specifically, I know we want to get input from the school on that one corner.
Schools love, like, look down streets to play. They do that on Ashland Street every day at Good Shepherd. They do that like on like next to the Minnesota School with all their construction. Like schools love to have these streets.
Okay, so I added, let's just, I'm gonna generate, I'm gonna draft the resolution, I'll send it to you. So I have support from all committee members. Yes.
If the process is we arrive at a consensus and then we vote.
So Robin?
Yes.
Robin? Yes. All right. Yeah.
Yes. We also have another community board member over there, Ann.
But I'm not on the committee.
So when you get a candidate,
You vote as,
but you will vote.
as a board member.
And you need,
And Megan, MPPYA.
On my committee.
and just a head count minus DOT. I support the resolution.
Yeah.
Raise for yes.
You don't have to vote if you don't want to, but you
Yeah, you don't
can.
have to vote. Vote no,
Right.
1, 2. Right, so this, and I vote yes, by the way, this.
Nobody
resolution passes.
voted.
Well, I had our
No.
commissions tentatively, depending on what deal together, we'll revisit the conversation, I'm sure. Let's move on with the agendas, okay? So we have People's Leader, Nino Laura, joining us. They're gonna present on building a lane by the new developments on 207th Street and 10th Avenue.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. So, Nino, mute yourself and share your screen.
Yes, hello everyone. Can everyone hear me? Buenas
Good.
noches.
Okay.
How do I, let me see. Yes, I do have some things to share. Let me see. As I get that going. So yes, so thank you, Leo, and thank you to the board and to the Traffic and Transportation Committee. Here it is. I'm able to share now. Oh, you went away. So I'll start by speaking and then I will do the other thing. I'm trying to do both at the same time. So I am here because, as probably many of you know, we are in the process of building Inwood's first theater, which we're very excited about. The community's been wanting this forever. There's so many artists, there's so many young people, there's so many elders and neighbors who will call this home. So the People's Theater is in construction. We are doing the fit out. This is on 206th Street. It's part of the new Miramar building. We are on the first floor on 206, and the cellar floor. So there is an application with DOT right now that's in the works. And we spoke to DOT and they said, because this is a theater, there is a requirement to have a no parking anytime. We first went to DOT and we said we wanted space because we know we need it for, this is a multi-generational, multidisciplinary space. This is the vision for the space. So it'll be we're actually speaking to Mary, who I see there, and the Aging Committee. What are all the programmings for seniors and our senior centers and our elders? So we need to make sure that there is accessibility. The whole space is completely ADA accessible. So we need to have access in the front for seniors to use it. Of course, after schools, as you know me there, right? And all of our school partners, we need to make sure that there's access there. And it is a theater, so we need loaded space. So we were trying to figure out if we could do it a certain number of hours, and do we need it in the weekends? But actually the requirement from the city is, it's a regulation, it's a DOT regulation that theaters should have a no parking anytime. So there is an application that is in the works, but I am here today to ask the community board, what are the requirements that the community board has for approval prior to the DOT approval? And if you know that, I'm here to kind of listen and learn. This is, I guess I didn't say the timing, for next summer. We anticipate that this will become active once the construction is completed. The construction will be completed around May of next year. And then between the permits, we anticipate that we'll be moving in the second week of July. The programming, because we need to figure out how to turn on the lights and do things like that, will officially begin in September. So of course, community board will be invited and the whole community will too. But this will be active in July. So I'm here to ask the question, see what is the process? It's different with every community board. So how is it for CB12? What are things that you would need for us to get that no parking in front of our space? And as you do that, I'll look for the photo so you can see what the floor plan looked like.
Yes, please share.
If I can comment on it, if it's a DO requirement that there's no parking designation be there, it will be there, and in fact, we can't do anything about it, and we don't need to support it. Because it's required.
Yeah, DOT might ask for resolutions for it because they always do. They might.
Yeah, so
we have to
maybe.
plan it. So how far along is the application?
That is a great question. And it was submitted in March. I know that. And there is a number that I have. So the building put in the applications for the rest of their building. There's going to be a path mark on this street on 9th Avenue. I imagine they have 4. What they told me is that there are 4 parking regulations. I'm here just to talk about mine, which is the theater one, because they said that's the only one that may require community board input. But they did say that it is DOT regulation that in New York City all theaters have this. So that's a really good question. I didn't see who it was who said it. Then maybe just to know exactly what it is. I mean, regardless of whether it's legally needed or not, I want the community. I want to involve the community. It's just the way that we do things at People's Theater. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Great. So it is 40 feet, where you see where it says theater. So this is 206th Street, 9th Avenue is on the right. The 1 train, and 10th is on the left. So 40 feet is about 2 parking spots. And as I said, the part that you see that's orange, that's where the loading dock is, which is not a dock. It's just the sidewalk, but it's a double door, and we put in a ramp that can then go straight to the elevator in the theater. And then the entrance, the 40 feet would be basically the lobby area. There's the entrance for individuals, and then the entrance for where we're loading in pieces and bigger moving equipment.
Hey, thank you for the visuals.
Yeah.
So I don't think it should be a big issue. It's only gonna take a few spots. It should be about 2 each parking space.
Yeah.
About 12 foot, yes. Okay.
I stayed, so just to listen to some of the other things that you guys are doing.
Try on that, that's why.
Jim and I know many years, but we are very good. A question.
Yes.
If this is the first time it has been brought up to before?
This particular one, yes.
And what's
I've
the,
spoken to Mina prior to the summer start, so she reached out around May, early June, so I had an idea of it. We added to the agenda this week.
right, I'm covering for Lyle, as you heard, and I would just want to take notes so I can share it with him, so he can follow it up. Now, what's the location of this?
206 between 10th and 9th.
As a one
West
train
Avenue,
station.
between 10th Avenue, the new developments.
Right, yes,
Yeah.
got it. Yes.
So
Um,
405 at West 206, it will be 419 once the building, but I believe, but it's 405. That's what the theater, if you see the screen, will look like, and it'll have, let me see if I can move this so you can see it. Two theater spaces, two performance spaces. One is a 208
It's
seat.
okay, I could learn about that later, but I just wanted to kind of contribute some kind of information.
Yes, please.
Is this a signage issue?
No, I think it's just more of compliance. You have to come to the board just to get a thumbs up so that DOT can then
Yeah.
implement the signage.
I'm asking what she's requesting from DOT.
Not DOT, so in order for her to have theater here, DOT regulation says that you can't park in front of her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no parking anytime is the regular, yeah.
Because I'm looking to understand what she's requesting in terms of what she needs up front of the theater.
Yeah.
Does she needs to have change of signage, like alternate side be replaced by something else?
I think that they need the no standing.
Right, so the change of signage. which
Yeah, the signage will be changing.
Right, requires an analysis by the unit of DOT. Now, she also needs, yes, your support, and that will help, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go through.
It's a no.
So I'll,
Let me stay.
you know, I'll
Let
speak
me
because,
I said, because you know, as I understand it, if this is a DOT requirement, then the signs are going to go in just because it's a theater. And we have no say in the matter because that's a DOT requirement. Now, if in fact it's not a requirement, she described, so I think one thing you could do, and anyway, as you said, you're gonna reach out to Lyle. Lyle can tell us whether in fact this is a requirement. And if it is a requirement, then those signs will automatically be put in. She's not requesting anything.
Yeah. So maybe it's just
it's a
announcing.
requirement, we need the support to the community.
Not if it's a requirement.
Not necessarily, Jim. We have to, if the unit finds out, she has provided us with the application. If we sees that it can be done, we're not going to go and do it unless there is community support. And this is a.
Well, again, that's the confusion. If it's a requirement, you don't need community support.
When you said a requirement for what, Jim?
What she said is that if you have a theater, DOT requires no parking in front of it, end of discussion.
DOT, yeah, and the word that DOT gave was as per DOT regulation. For theaters in New York City, it needs to have a no parking anytime sign.
Which you have requested.
No, she doesn't.
Yes.
She applied. She applied.
She had requested with the application.
So like a church.
Right, she had requested.
Yeah, maybe it's, yeah, like it is for all the churches.
Right.
You need to request application.
Yes,
I'm
and
looking at
obviously
I'm
for.
looking online, she done the right thing by applying, but then DOT wants to input on the community, see if we're impeding. Even though it's a requirement, which.
Just like we do.
Yeah, she doesn't know. Well,
Yes.
you have, wanna ask a question?
It's like we do with the open streets. For organization that want to have closed.
I think
We
we
have-
have a misunderstanding with the word requirement. Requirement means that's the rule and you have no say in the matter. Like there's no parking in front of a fire hydrant, that's a requirement, a law, and you know, the community board can want what it wants and even Adonis can want what he wants. You still can't park in front of, so that's my understanding of the word requirement.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so in which case, you know, now, you know, we obviously approve of the theater and whatever goes along with it. So, I mean, well, let me suggest the following. You reach out to Lyle and he will clarify what requirement means. So if we don't have to do anything, because it's gonna go in theater,
then that's just fine. It's the way it is. And on the other hand.
I'll find the application and we'll go
Yeah.
over that.
But on the other hand, since we are in favor of the theater being there, not that
Yeah.
we could certainly be more than happy to say we are happy with it. But
Right.
again,
Great,
Well,
and so for next steps, I'll speak with Lyle, and then is Lyle here? I can't, everyone seems blurry
me-
right now.
oh,
Okay,
know.
great.
We'll reach out to Lyle, Rafael, we'll reach out to Lyle, what we'll do is, especially when we get to the summer.
And then I'll also follow up on my end, like just to understand exactly, like maybe it's a letter, maybe it's just like a formality of I came to
Yeah.
the community board and I spoke and it's just a letter from the community board, or if it's something, I'm just saying, because if it is a regulation, then I completely hear what you're saying of it's just a thing. It's in New York City. We have theaters and yay, we're gonna have one uptown. And this is what happens. Because we weren't looking for a no parking anytime. I'm, spend most of my time uptown. I understand that that's it, but if that's what it is, it is. So we'll use it thoroughly for all of our community who needs to come in and out all the time. So I'll follow up on my end with DOT, and if you can follow up on your end to see what it is, and then I'll come back.
I would email you, and we'll tie Rafael and Lyle, so we can go, but it just seems like
Yeah.
you're gonna have those signs installed once you open, we just have to pass some kind of, or say, hey,
or maybe
we want this theater, we understand it's part of, city regulations, we're cool, we're going for it.
I'm part of the community as well.
Exactly.
So we'll continue our conversation offline, again, they won't open up till next summer, so we have.
Right, just to reiterate my point, if it's a requirement, they don't meet our support, and we don't have to write a letter.
Great.
This
Yeah.
is the part of the has been around for some times.
Right.
Amazing.
But obviously, if a letter would be appropriate, and again, if it's a letter, it then has to be approved by the community.
Yeah.
Great.
Rational committee deciding on the law. No, the entire House of Representatives.
All right, thank you, Mino.
Thank you so much.
And we'll touch bases and we'll move
Thank
on.
you, everyone.
Before you guys go.
Okay, I'll be in touch. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, so moving on to the agenda, so we're not asking Renzo for that, we'll come back to it. Glad that you came and.
By the time that opens, you guys are gonna be talking about all the predicted F grade on every single intersection, and then 2,600 units. That will be the primary topic of conversation.
We'll move on to take a couple parking spaces, areas.
It's gonna be a parking.
We're gonna discuss that at a later day, I actually don't want to. But then. But at limited capacity, yes, they have garage, but the garages are limited to residents. And I think the pathway will have a better amount of parking for their customers. But it's not, it doesn't indicate capability of what the building is. All right, so moving on, agenda item F, review of dining out overseas sidewalk cafe applications. As you guys know, the last session today, we started receiving these applications from local merchants applying to DOT, licensing coverage, cafes. We cover five. We have 5 applications for not this month, but the time being. Applications are complete. I have reviewed them. Again, DOT prior to sending this, they review the application. So any requirements, they will show them before we get it. We're just here to provide comments. Just let them know they're good merchants or not. We expect certain things. If we've seen certain things previous years that they have, then we're here to new regulations. That's pretty much what it is. All right, so the first one is Cheesy Melts, located at 4734 Broadway at the corner of Thayer Street. Cheesy Melts is a relatively new business. It's near the McDonald's by Dykeman. Yeah, the home. So for filming, they want to provide a skywalk shed. Their hours of operation are 10 to 10 every day. I don't believe they have a liquor license. I'm sure they don't have a liquor license actually. And it would just cover them according to DOT regulation, 12 feet in front of their location on the side. Right? Does anybody have any questions or comments? This is a newer merchant, and I was like, we should have an issue with rowdiness. That's not a Johnson Field licensing of rowdy. Does anybody have any comments on? Take a good comment on the dimension of the street. Streets area, just. So, I can forward you, he has regulations on the web. Actually, yeah, no, so.
I don't believe we can go beyond.
Yeah, exactly. This is, as you know, previous, there was a pandemic, that stations. And you have wacky ones, you have really good looking ones, one of them was maintained. This is their way of kind of making everything uniform. Yeah. So that petition and cleanliness, it's all contained. So yeah, I can forward you, the DOT has specifications on the website. And if they don't follow it, they're gonna get fined.
And also,
I'll try to put it to-
sorry about that, also the DOT, before they get it, they get it.
Yeah, they review it and then they send it to us for comments.
Yeah,
No concern.
Yeah. So yes, cheesy nuts, any concerns?
Not like.
This is the only on committee level and can vote. So no comments, we don't gotta pass anything, I just gotta let them know we have no comments.
Yes. I don't. You don't like it right around the corner.
Yes, it's like, it's near McDonald's, like in the middle of black.
Yeah.
Before Fort Trump. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's gonna. Well, no comments. Number two, we have Contour Euro Caribbean Cuisine Court. Doing business as Seawalk Restaurant, also known as Bravo 56, 261 Diagonal Street at the corner of Payson Avenue. This one is a tough one because I know in the license committee, when I've been there, Robin could be the one to lead in this, they've gotten a lot of complaints. So, in consideration, they do have a complete application.
But they clarified with the complaints, said what it belongs from.
Okay, so,
And with nearby the restaurant, the other one restaurant. Because they have a grocery store nearby, so
it's
they
just closed.
they do whatever they want.
All right, so comment on that. And other committees that we don't have to pay attention, but you can also give your input with the issues, if you see any problems, but in the past, they had issues at the music store. It's not, we're not considering music, we're not considering issues. That is sidewalk, where they create issues for our community, people passing by, does it take up a lot of space? They should still follow the specifications, yes.
I would like to say that the bike lane on Dykeman Street is constantly being encroached upon by everybody in Cascaya, and even like a block just down the road, and that they absolutely, if they're gonna take up part of the sidewalk, that they have to keep the bike lane clear of all the double, triple parking, extension cords at all. Like that whole strip there, like it's not just them, it's like Payson all the way to Broadway. Bike lane is constantly getting obstructed, and it actually, people use that bike lane because it's one of the only connectors between the east and west side.
No problem. So, when the pandemic happened, DOT kind of allowed them to have a free for all. Now, in order for you to have any structure, you have to apply. Once you get approved, you're able to establish this structure. So that structure you see there might not be the one we have. This one is smaller, has to adhere to DOT regulations.
Meaning, the one that they have right now is gonna be gone, completely gone. So this is like smaller now, it's not that big. Right. And everything has to go in with one. Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna include the comment on the bike lanes and also double park. I think double parking happens to be an issue for everybody, especially on the strip, so we'll include that. Any other comments?
Is this for this year sidewalk use or next year
I
sidewalk?
believe it's for next year, because they have to remove it by the winters.
Snafu with like not, granting any of these, so.
Give it to DOT, we just comment on it.
The whole thing about having to strip these things down like every season is kind of wild to me. It means you get structures that are not as robust against like the extreme storms that we get in the summertime, which just seems like crazy.
Let me just say that.
Well, if I'll comment, we'll move on.
The things that right now they're violating they probably declined to pay till they remove it.
They've actually been doing it for a while ago.
178.
Because their period closed off, I think.
Trump came and broke it, put it down with the police and everybody.
But also, let me comment, most of these things are not structured, it's just like fences.
I mean, this one's a bit more substantial than that.
That's the old thing, that's the old one.
Yeah.
They have to be compliant with the current rules and regulations.
All right, guys, we'll continue the conversation after we dismiss, but Yummy Thai, 4959 Broadway between West 207th Street and Isham Street. Again, they're a good merchant. I don't think they're a problem. I would just say double parking. There's a lot of double parking. So that's the comment. Sure. And then you have people on the sidewalk taking some space on the sidewalk. Sure that they make double parking or have signs up. Licensing part of their requirements when they Any comments for Yummy Thai besides double parking?
But if there is a bike lane, they shouldn't approach it. They may not feel about theirs.
And this one is not bike lane.
Okay.
No, there's, yeah. Crazy.
Right, number 4, Elsa La Reina del Cerro, 4840 Broadway at the corner of Academy Street.
They have no inside seating without this little sidewalk.
Exactly.
I feel really bad for them being made.
Me too.
down,
Yeah.
Because they're nice business.
Yeah.
And it looks nice and the kids in the school like to go there.
All the time.
So I wish they didn't have to take their stuff down.
Well, you know, it costs money, but they wanted to remove it. Now they're gonna put it back.
It's a nice place.
Yeah, I have no comment on this one. They usually are really good with double parking. Double parking, that's a long to move.
And you gotta move.
And then you move that. All right, Salsa Serrano, 4979 Broadway between West 211th, West 12th Street.
That place, they got the greenest thumb in the neighborhood. They honestly could grow like
Yeah.
cherry trees that are prettier than the Parks Department. They need to also keep their stuff up in mind.
I have nothing wrong with it. Anybody have any comments on Serrano Salsa? Okay, that concludes our today. We'll add this to our meeting minutes. Office. By the way, you guys can also, if you go on the DOT website for these hearings, we provide a link, and if you have any comment on any of the businesses on the neighborhood, on the city, you can post. This goes pretty fast. All right, moving on. Any old business for DOT, we'll have them come back next month. MTA as well. They both were very busy today. I guess one of the meetings, it's hard meetings. Every other in the month. Thank you.
Is that all business that can smooth the problem? New business. Summer streets.
Okay, we'll touch on that. Real quick, so next month at October meeting. You guys are newer to our committee, but every April and October we have a free call. So people in the communications community submit an application for some. They must be after a loved one or someone who has contributed to the city dynamics. Yes, that's fine. There's some guidelines. I'll resend it to everybody so that we can prepare. Right now, I don't have any applications. I got to the support office. We do have 2 applicants that will return next month. I'm gonna try to speak with them in advance just to give them a heads up. We weren't able to really discuss. So back when they came in April, we had 2 applicants, and we felt very bad for it, but we couldn't pass. So we asked them to remove themselves for consideration. We were supposed to discuss in June, certain changes to the guidelines. They're a bit outdated, they don't recognize graphics or certain situations. June was very busy, so we weren't able to really discuss that. We tabled it in September, but obviously. So I think that merits a conversation that we should have maybe in a meeting in a month. We're too busy, so that we can actually work on editing or amending some of these guys.
We also need to remember to do the budget next month.
Yes, so that's part of our list, budget and Coast Street. I'm gonna just tell you 2 applicants that unfortunately we weren't able to discuss. We don't get the summer. that we will thoroughly discuss during the winter season, just so that we can have something concrete by that same. Makes sense. And then you guys can get activated.
One other comment, it turns out the city council has its own guidelines, so it doesn't make any sense for us to come up with guidelines that don't conform to theirs.
Sure. Since they make those moves. So that's an open.
What are the New York, New Jersey HAT study, regarding the Harlem River Drive Seaward landlord.
So I spoke to Paola. Paola hasn't heard anything. I'm gonna reach out to them because we can't discuss anything. We don't know. You know something? I don't know anything.
I forwarded you their their thing, so that hopefully help you find that, but really it's directly transportation related, so we should.
I'm gonna look into this and I'm gonna invite them so they should be able to give us a presentation.
And I really I know you said we talked about the Broadway Bridge thing, but
Yeah, that's-
the Broadway Bridge thing, it's been a long time since they've given us an update on what's going on with that, and it's.
Conversations. Lyle hasn't updated, but that's something that we're gonna touch base on tomorrow and kind of. He said that he was. Yeah. I have my.
Go after them again about their electric cords. Yeah.
Before we continue, let me let Ann.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ann.
I don't know if this is old or new business. I hope it's old business. The stretch of Riverside Drive West.
Yeah, we have Jody and Bruce, they usually get superstars in that.
To live at River Arts.
Yeah, so we're gonna discuss that. Most likely next month, but not November. We just still have to get some updates on with DOT. There's certain
So-
things that still being.
My building manager and the board may have some information that might be helpful to
If you can send me an email and we'll.
Yeah.
I think James on the email myself, do some joke.
For two lanes of Riverside Drive West
Yeah, it is.
have been shut down for 4 years.
Yeah,
Oh.
they took a hiatus of the project, and they just have construction.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, no, it looks
Okay,
pretty bad.
great.
Yeah, so we'll pick up.
Okay,
What
thank you.
Who's that, are you referring to?
I don't think it's a DOT project.
No, it's not DOT.
Riverside, right?
OT, DOT is.
Ongoing
Yes.
project from 145 to 155.
Driveway.
While they discuss
Riverside
that,
Drive
um,
and 155.
Okay.
right,
Actually, I was gonna complain that was talked to Lyle, please bring up Riverside Drive.
there's a lot of this, trust me, we have, and you'll be.
Yeah, you probably know.
Well,
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
Yeah, you haven't heard why.
It's not great.
Mary, we're gonna let Mary have the floor, and then we'll close off with Mary. I think it was.
Summer Street. I came back from upstate, I was on vacation, I was upstate, came back, and that Saturday, I didn't have a clue about anything happening. I didn't know. I tried to go to 181st Street on that first Saturday by bus. I went to Broadway. And I couldn't believe it, what's going on. I said,
So.
I said to a police.
It was pretty cool. I understand that it provided a lot of inconvenience for a lot of people. I gotta know. Raphael can attest to. So this is summer thing. It was a pilot thing that they did see it. They got a lot of positive feedback. I think it's actually pretty cool. See the boulevard closed. Now people not only participate in activity, but they bikes, walk. So I agree. I think they have to do better outreach. Because I think the outreach wasn't there. I found out about it through my job. I didn't know we had
There were
to
signs here and
do
there.
craziness
This is what-
with our project, but yeah, they, I think outreach has to be more expansive.
The police did not know what was going on, because
Yeah.
I went to Broadway,
But nobody,
go uptown, and they told me, I'll go to St. Nicholas.
yeah, nobody,
No buses on St. Nicholas.
it was planned in advance, so it was not a thing that they just kind of sprung up.
No, it has to be.
They mentioned it to us sometime in June at a meeting. We just thought it was a one block closure. It happened to be the full stretch. Again, I think just outreach has to be a bit better. I actually like the
No, they
idea.
need to
I
not
think the
do
idea
it
is
again.
great.
On Broadway.
I always
Do it
agree with you.
somewhere else.
What's
I
so.
was thinking
Make a consideration.
Oh, that's crazy. Because the elderly, the disabled, the people that have to do their shopping and whatever on Saturdays couldn't do anything, and that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was only
Yeah,
one.
it was over by 2 o'clock,
Yeah.
and you know, during the emergency services, most of Broadway has like the center median, and it wasn't the entire thing. There was like a whole half of Broadway was reserved for emergency transportation, and it probably could have been opened up to like paratransit and other folks that needed
This
help.
feedback we can give
But-
to DOT.
It's the buses were supposed to be running downtown. And they were.
So,
Over the buses.
and it's such a minute part of time. This is the way New York City used to
All right.
operate.
We're gonna discuss it, Mary. I think that we should actually, maybe in the spring, touch upon it and give DOT our feedback. I actually agree with them, but I don't disagree with what you're saying. Maybe give them feedback. Listen, there's certain things that we need to, outreach has to be done. A lot of people don't know. Really don't know. Before like the end of it. So that has to be. And when, but they also had in the Bronx, they had in Brooklyn. I think we were here.
It was all over the place.
It was the Bronx, Brooklyn, like. But with that being said, we're gonna touch base on it. We're not gonna forget about it. We're gonna touch base on it. And we'll send them maybe a rental commenting, hey, listen, this stuff. All right?
Can I ask,
Yes.
can you send that?
Yeah.
To the
Let me write it down,
members
actually, yes.
and
So you guys can, yes.
Thank you.
So as Mary mentioned, next month, we usually do street co-naming, and we also discuss the board budget, particularly to this committee. We have a discussion on, well, we should be following with DOT and T and have you guys implemented this laundry list of things we wanted? And if not, we kind of carry it over to this time around, but we also add different things that we want to see. The money effect, we want to see improvements, so we'll be discussing, I'll send last year's discussion list, so you guys can review and then bring ideas of what you think money should be added, as an expense and capital. All right? That being said, we motion. Motion.
Second.
Thank you guys for joining.
Yeah.